Chapter 1.5, Angle Relationships. The first term that we're going to talk about is adjacent angles. And when we talk about adjacent angles, we're talking about two angles, and they share a common endpoint. Which is the vertex. So here, looking at this picture, the common endpoint of two angles CAB and BAD would be A. They share a common side, but they have no common interior points. So for example, in this picture, angle CAB and angle BAD are adjacent. If I look at angle CAB, which is this angle, and I look at angle BAD, which is this angle, they share a common side, which is AB. They have a common endpoint, which is vertex A, but they do not have any common interior points. There is no overlap. To look at an example of one that is not adjacent, so here we'll make sure that we say this is not adjacent. Let's look at angle CAB and angle CAD. They do share a common vertex, which is A. They both share this common side, which is CA. We're looking at CAB, which is this angle here. And then we're looking at angle CAD, which is this angle here. And they do have overlap. They share interior points right in this area here. So they are not adjacent. A linear pair is two angles that form a line. So they add to be 180 degrees. So therefore they're supplementary. So in this picture, angle 1 and angle 2 are a linear pair. They have to be adjacent. So angle 1 and angle 2 together, they equal 180 degrees, and they form a line. Vertical angles are angles that are opposite each other. So angle 2 and angle 4 are a pair of vertical angles. And angle 1 and angle 3 are a pair of vertical angles. They're formed by intersecting lines. And they're not adjacent. The adjacent angles, like angle 1 and angle 2, would be a linear pair. Angle 4, angle 3 are a linear pair. 1 and 4 and 2 and 3 are all linear pairs. The vertical angles here do not touch each other and are opposite from each other. Complementary angles add to be 90 degrees. They don't have to be adjacent, but if they are adjacent, then they would form a 90-degree angle. Supplementary angles add up to be 180 degrees. Again, they don't have to be adjacent, but if they are adjacent, they form a linear pair. Perpendicular lines, again, intersect, so two lines that intersect to form 4 90-degree angles. It makes sense that if you have one 90-degree angle, that all of them would have to be 90, because if this one's 90 and this right here is a linear pair, this would also have to be 90 to be 180. And we can go all the way around to do that. So the angles are congruent. Adjacent angles are congruent. Vertical angles are always congruent. The symbol for right angle is this symbol right here. This tells you that you have a right angle. And the only way that you can assume in a picture that two intersecting lines form a right angle is if they give you this symbol here, or they tell you that the angles are 90 degrees. But we cannot just look at a picture and determine that that's 90 degrees. The other notation that we're going to use for perpendicular is this upside down T. So in the picture we have here is that GH is perpendicular to EF. It's a symbol that you need to learn because I'm not going to tell you what it means on a test or a quiz. This is a symbol for perpendicular. So it reads, GH is perpendicular to EF. Now when we look at this picture, there's multiple answers to each of these questions. We'll look at a few of them. So for the first one, we want to name two vertical angles. My eye is drawn right away to this pair right here. So I could talk about angle EFG and angle IFH. Another pair of vertical angles could be here, angle EFI and angle GFH. Of course, we still do have other pairs. We have this pair right here. We also have this pair here. So there's multiple pairs of vertical angles in this picture. We just only had to name one pair. Two adjacent angles are angles that are next to each other. So let's talk about these two right here, angle EFG and angle GFH. Of course, there's other pairs, but they share a common side, which is ray FG. They share a common vertex, which is F. In this picture for the next one, there's only one set of perpendicular lines. It'd be these two right here. So it'd be line CB is perpendicular to line, I don't know, we can call it a couple different letters, AE. I remember AE could be called by AB or AE or AF because we just have this line that goes through all these points right here. Supplementary angles that are a linear pair. So supplementary angles that are a linear pair, I would choose the same ones we have here. So we have angle EFG and angle GFH. There's supplementary angles that form a linear pair. Two complementary angles are two angles that add up to be 90 degrees. Well, we know this has to be 90 degrees here. So we have angle CBD and angle DBE. Now we bring algebra back into it, And we're asked to find the measures of two supplementary angles. So supplementary means that they add up to be 180 degrees. If the measure of one angle is 6 less than 5 times the measure of the other. So if I let x equal the measure of one angle, the other angle in terms of x would be one angle is 6 less than 5 times, so 5 times the other minus 6 is the other angle. We're told that these are supplementary, so if we add the two of them together, they would equal 180 degrees. Combining like terms, adding 6 to both sides, I get that x is 31. So one angle is 31 degrees. The other angle would be 5 times 31 minus 6, or I could also do 90 minus 31, and I would come up with 149 degrees. In the next problem, I want to find x and y so that KO and HM are perpendicular. In other words, their intersection will form right angles. So that means that this right here, because we're looking at KO and we're looking at HM, that means that this angle right here has to be a right angle, and this angle right here has to be a right angle. So solving for x, I know that 3x plus 6 plus 9x has to equal 90 degrees. And then solving for y, I know that 3y plus 6 has to equal 90. So solving the first one, combining like terms, I have 12x plus 6 equals 90. So 12x equals 84. So x would give us 7. 3y equals 84, and y would be 28. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I do not know what's going on with my stylus right now. So the answer for this would be x equals 7 and y equals 28. For the next one, we're going to determine if the following statements can be justified, which basically means I don't want just a true false, I want some sort of explanation of why something's true. So the first one is asking us, is VYT, so VYT, this angle right here, 90 degrees? And we can say yes, because if this is a right angle right here, these have to add up to be 180 degrees. So yes, and that's because angle XYV is 90 degrees. Looking at the next part, part B, is asking us is TYW, so TYW, which is right here, and TYU, are they supplementary? Yes. They form a line. You could also call them a linear pair. Then we're asked, is VYW, so VYW, this one here, and TYS, which is this one here, are they adjacent? Well, they do share a common vertex, but they do not share a common side. So no, do not share a common side. And that concludes the lesson for 1-5.